Donald Trump is often remarked about a long-forgotten American president from the late 19th century, the 25th President of the United States, William McKinley. McKinley was a politician from Ohio and was president between 1897 and 1901 when he was assassinated. Trump and McKinley share several ideological and policy parallels, particularly on their emphasis when it comes to tariffs, economic protectionism, and expanding American influence abroad through conquests and imperial designs. However, they do differ significantly in personality and historical context, but we'll get to that in a bit. Trump even mentioned McKinley in his inauguration speech back in January.
Changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs.
Both presidents championed tariffs as a cornerstone of their economic strategy. McKinley supported high tariffs on all foreign goods that were brought into the United States in order to protect American industries during the late 19th century. He had famously passed the McKinley Tariff Act of 1890. Trump similarly advocates for trade protectionism. He's imposing tariffs on Chinese, Canadian, and Mexican goods. He also wants to impose what he calls reciprocal tariffs on all of America's trading partners, all in an attempt to try and prioritize American workers in the Midwest. The hope is that manufacturing jobs, which were once the mainstay of the industrial Midwest, will return. It is the same manufacturing base in the Midwest which was the core McKinley Republican voter base in the late 19th century. William McKinley sought to expand American markets globally while maintaining domestic economic dominance. Trump echoes this through his America First agenda, where he focuses on reshoring jobs and limiting foreign competition. He wants foreign companies to invest in America, not sell in America. But it's not only in the economic realm that Trump idolizes William McKinley. McKinley's presidency also marked America's transition into an imperial power, with the annexation of Hawaii, the victory in the Spanish-American War. Trump admired McKinley's expansionist vision, proposing bold moves like attempting to purchase Greenland from the Denmark government. He even talks about taking back control of the Panama Canal and making Canada America's 51st state. All of this seems tone deaf to the current international order, but Trump views this from a neo-imperial lens. Even domestically, William McKinley realigned American politics by creating a coalition of wealthy elites on the top end and working-class voters at the bottom end, establishing Republican dominance for decades in U.S. politics. Trump has similarly reshaped the GOP by appealing to a mix of blue-collar workers who lost their manufacturing jobs in the Midwest, and at the top end is the conservative elite millionaires and billionaires from New York to Silicon Valley. Trump admires McKinley primarily for his views as a tariff king who made America wealthy without relying on income taxes by leveraging tariffs to fund the government. So foreign-made goods ended up paying more to sell to American consumers. This, of course, was a time before income tax and before free trade. McKinley sold the idea successfully that government does not need to tax people. It can instead raise revenues through hefty tariffs on foreign products. But like I said, it was a different era back then. Before free trade, before both the world wars, and at a time when a wave of white immigrants from Western Europe sailed across the Atlantic to the land of new hope and new opportunity. William McKinley served as the 25th President of the United States from the 4th of March 1897 until his assassination on the 14th of September 1901. His presidency marked significant milestones in American history, both domestically and internationally. McKinley led the U.S. to a decisive victory in the Spanish-American War, which resulted in the acquisition of several Spanish colonies, including Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. Cuba was also acquiesced at that time, but eventually Cuba was granted independence, but it was annexed and remained under U.S. influence until 1902, until after McKinley's death. In 1898, Mckinley oversaw the annexation of the Republic of Hawaii, which became a U.S. territory in 1900. This marked a significant expansion of American territory in the Pacific. McKinley's presidency marked the beginning of the U.S. as a global imperial power. His foreign policy focused on expanding American influence abroad, particularly through the acquisition of new territories. And that is exactly what Donald Trump is eulogizing, talking about annexing Greenland, taking back Panama, and making Canada America's 51st state. Trump's presidency is moving America back from a liberal internationalist state to a neo-imperialist one. McKinley also implemented the Dingley Tariff Act in 1897, which raised protective tariff barriers to the highest levels at that time, hoping to protect American industry and American workers from foreign competition. He also supported the Gold Standard Act of 1900, which solidified the U.S. currency, the dollar, basis gold rather than silver, and that promoted further economic stability, making America the world's biggest economy. During McKinley's presidency, the U.S. also experienced rapid economic growth and a decline in labor conflicts. His policies were credited with helping the country recover from the severe depression of the early 1890s, known as the Panic of 1893. Trump is hoping that after the brief pain that is brought upon by these tariffs, it will incentivize the biggest companies in the world to start manufacturing in the United States. Recently, Apple, one of the world's biggest smartphone makers, committed to $500 billion of manufacturing in America. But also as a political leader, Trump has a different reason to idolize William McKinley. An elected Republican from Ohio, he managed to realign American politics and install the Grand Old Party as the dominant party in America for more than a generation. It took the Great Depression in the 1930s to dislodge the Republican Party from power. From 1896 until 1932, every president in the United States except one was a Republican. Woodrow Wilson broke that streak in 1912 only because the GOP had split temporarily into two hostile camps. For most of that stretch, from the 1890s till the Great Depression of the 1930s, McKinley's party, the Republican Party, also managed to control both houses of Congress and most states outside of the South. Republicans accomplished that by building much the same unlikely coalition of wealthy businessmen on the one hand and blue-collar workers on the other hand. It's the same coalition that Trump assembled in 2024. Will the MAGA mogul be able to extend his right-wing majority through to the middle of the century and beyond? Trump sure as hell wants to be remembered more than his once-forgotten political idol. History may be kinder to the protege than the master himself.